Welcome back to the podcast right here on Override. I'm Paul Barron. I'm your host today, and we're going to dive into kind of this new element of where AI is leading business. Now what we've kind of talked about before on some of our shows is where AI is leading consumers and what kind of interface we're going to be seeing in terms of the technology advancements and how it's going to kind of change our whole landscape of how consumers are going to interface. Today, though, we're going to dive into how businesses are potentially going to be utilizing AI to maybe either one, shift their business model, or potentially grow and develop new products all built around AI. With me today, I've got Massimo Noja de Marco, who is also the CEO and founder founder over at Kitchen United. I know you guys have a new CEO over there, so great to have you on the show, Massimo.
Thank you, Paul. It's great to be back.
Yeah, so we dive into AI a lot with you through your company, Paestro. Obviously, a robotic pizza making concept. Tell us a little bit about that for some of our listeners and viewers that maybe are not aware of Paestro and how it works.
Yeah, so Paestro it's a life dream for me because I am so passionate about pizza since I was a kid. And I really wanted to be able to create a machine that would make pizza in a fully automated way, almost like a vending machine, to be able to bring the pizza to all the pizza lovers around the world. And there's tons of them. Just in the United States, there's $56 billion in sales in pizza. And so this machine is a very compacted machine that is able to make anywhere between 80 and 100 pizza a day with one load. So we load all the fresh ingredients and the machine runs by itself. You can order through directly from the machine or via Postmates and the various DSP. But you can actually go in front of the machine. There's this beautiful window where you can see your pizza being assembled, all the favorite toppings that you order just falling right on top of the pie. Then it goes in the back, it goes into the oven, it gets cooked to perfection, all in 3 minutes or less, depending on the recipe of the pizza. If you're loading it up with a lot of your favorite ingredients, it might take a little bit longer, but that's right around 3 minutes.
So Massimo, your background, obviously in co-founding Kitchen United and kind of getting that rolling. For some of our viewers and listeners, Kitchen United is basically a ghost kitchen model that is designed to help the food service space. And then you kind of rolled over to Paestro. With AI, I mean, what was the reason, I guess, that you've kind of gone head first into utilizing AI and advanced technologies in the food service space? What was kind of the genesis of you going in that direction?
Great influences. So first of all, I go back about 10 years ago. I started getting very interested in the robotic world and into the AI in general. But it wasn't really until about a little bit more than 5 years ago when I walked into a little garage in Pasadena, California, and I ran into these three geniuses, Caltech young engineers, which are the geniuses behind Flippy the robot. So they're the founders of Miso Robotics. And for as much as I've read about AI and robotics, it wasn't until the day that I stood over this machine and watched it doing what it was doing that I fell in love with that world. And I began to understand what AI could do. So when I first walked into that space, there was a robotic arm with a puck that was made out of siliput, I think. And this robotic arm was flipping it back and forth to mimic the execution of cooking a hamburger. And so, but the real interest in AI came right after that, because as I watch it from that day and day on and month on and so on and on and on, and understanding what this robot could do with the assistance of the AI or computer vision was incredibly fascinating. So fast forward to where we are right now, Flippy is not only able to identify what is in front of him, and I call it him, not it, in front of him, to cook, whether it's a fry or a curly fry or a sweet potato or a chicken tender, and then cook it to perfection every single time, adjusting the temperature and all the various things. But the beauty of the artificial intelligence or the computer vision is that Flippy is able to identify what's going on in his environment, not just in the cooking. So it can identify if an employee is coming in. Let's just say that he has temperature. So if he's got a fever, he can identify that as well and put a hold on it. So the computer vision system can really spot an employee if he comes into an area where it's not supposed to come. And then, additionally, outside from the robotic, the AI can really spot patterns in the kitchen. So you can learn a lot and compute the data you're getting by watching and filming a kitchen operation, and then computing that information and being able to give back to the operator something that they can use either with their human employees or with a robot. Look,
Yeah.
I was very fortunate that I was surrounded by the Cali Group environment. Cali Group is the parent company to Kitchen United, to Miso Robotics, to Pop ID, and Pop Pay, right? And Pop ID is it's a tremendous technology. I think you've interviewed Yale, if I'm not mistaken.
We have. Yep.
One of the best interviews I've seen in great interviews in your channel. This was one of the greatest things. And what Pop ID is able to do, even in the environment of the Kitchen United and other machines, is really to identify an employee that doesn't belong to that area, not allowing somebody in that is got a temperature or so on. So being around this tremendous talented people, I became more and more involved into that and more fascinated clearly by the abilities of this technology, right? And look, when I founded Kitchen United 5 years ago, when Jeffrey Carlton and I, my co-founder, were going around raising money, what we had in our deck was our food is going to be delivered by driverless vehicle. And so you could see it in that very first deck that we had that vision. We wanted the food to be delivered by robots in a very safe manner, which is very relative to this timing we're living right now. To me, it was never a matter of if, it was a matter of when. But one thing I was sure is that I wanted to be one of the first people to do it. And, as you well know, we struck a relationship with KiwiBot for Paestro. And so that is kind of the world I was living in. And that's why I got so fascinated and why I became so involved with robotic and artificial intelligence.
It's interesting, the evolution of what we've seen with computer vision. Obviously, one of the more common use cases is in electric vehicles. Tesla, of course, has been, I would say, pretty much the 800-pound gorilla in terms of pioneering that technology. It's interesting that we see that technology moving into other spaces, especially in food service. It's going to be interesting to see how that kind of flows into, especially collecting the data, because I think you're right with where just kind of the situation of how these operations are changing, especially in terms of the evolution of where restaurants are going to be in the next few years, because there's a lot of changes in the labor makeup of how a restaurant is going to be run, mainly because we're dealing with a lot more delivery, which kind of alludes to your point for potentially driverless or autonomous vehicles doing the delivery. When you look at all of these things happening, because this is something that I think a lot of pundits said and had forecasted to be in the year 2030. And we're essentially accelerated due to COVID a lot of these kinds of technologies where they are technically mainstream. Here's my question. When you see something like Tesla has had 15 years of building their cars and kind of evolving their model, probably has the most data on AI in the world. But when you look at a lot of companies who are just getting into this, or startups, and are being essentially thrusted into having to innovate very fast, which usually means fail fast, which has kind of been the mantra of Silicon Valley for quite some time. Do you feel like we're going to be running into companies that are dealing with more challenges because of the pressures put on them from this new demand from the business community to develop new solutions? What are your thoughts on that?
There's always a chance that someone is going to fail. But I think that the biggest challenge here is going to be the regulations, right? Once the regulations are being lifted, and once we have a very clear path on how these robots are going to move around the environment that we walk into and drive into every single day, that is going to go away. Look, there is restaurants that succeed and there is restaurants that fail. There's going to be technology companies that succeed and fail. There's going to be a robotic company that succeed and fail. But the point is that right now the technology is so sophisticated already that that we all know how computer vision works. We all know how AI can interact. And this is where AI is really going to shine in the vehicles. In the delivery vehicles, because you understand, as they're roaming on the sidewalk, this vehicle has to make decision every split second. So if there is a child, if there is a bike, if there is a crack on the street, if there is a pet, the robot has to make a decision. So that's the artificial intelligence that comes into play. So it's learning how to adapt to the environment that is constantly changing every second. And so that's really where AI, it's truly AI versus, some other areas where we might call it AI, but it's really not. It's more like just, computer vision or robotics. But you're going to see tons of these. You've seen that, Neuro's being approved for streets in Los Angeles. KiwiBot is being approved for streets in Los Angeles. In Europe, we are having tremendous influx. There is a company that's doing a fantastic job in Turkey. It's called Delivers AI. They're active in Turkey, but they're about to open up in other places in Europe and also into United Arab Emirates. So these companies like KiwiBot and Delivers AI are really looking to change the landscape of this delivery system because they're a tremendous help. Just in the financial way, it's very helpful because the goal of KiwiBot is to deliver for $1. Yeah, that's their goal. Delivers AI in Europe is around €4, but if you compare it to a scooter that costs 13 or 14 euro, that's a huge advantage. But then you have the safety. I believe your company has done a study on what was going on with the delivery drivers going into the bags and picking food out. And as you see, on January 1st, California has made mandatory that you have the safety seal on the food that needs to be delivered, right? So that is very important. Now you're not going to have that problem because the KiwiBot is not going to swallow up your French fries, and so you have that seamless delivery that everybody's talking about. Because as you well know, the mind frame of the consumer right now is who's touching my food, how many people have touched it, where has it been, and is it safe for me to eat? And so that's where we are at.
How do you think this scenario, because there's a lot of, whether it's Arcimoto or KiwiBot or some of those companies that are autonomous, essentially delivery bots or vehicles, will play out when Tesla drops their robotaxi model. And a lot of states are already approved for regulation in terms of autonomous vehicles. If Tesla were to come in with a fully autonomous fleet, which right now they have about 700,000 cars on the road that match up to full autonomy, and they could deploy that quickly, do you think someone like a Tesla could displace an Uber fleet in the interim before we see kind of this mass movement toward robotic delivery, even if it might be some sort of a Tesla vehicle, 5 years from now? What are your thoughts on that?
100%. I am a huge fan of Tesla. I think that they've been incredible through the years, ups and downs. But I want to say that they could definitely do that. Amazon could also do that. Google could also do that. There's the bigger player. They could all jump in there, but they're certainly going to take away business from the Uber and the Postmates and you name it, all those companies. I don't see a bright future for those companies because they've always been losing money. And honestly, our industry, we're operators. I have to say it, we're fed up with them taking our hard-earned money. 30% is way too much. 25%, 20% is way too much.
Where do you think the magic number is for a delivery system if it was third party? What would percentage-wise, you think that's going to set in somewhere between 8 and 10% is the fair number?
So I think there's going to be anywhere between the 10 and 15%. There's going to be a push to get a sub 10, which is very, very possible because with the savings from the automation, from the robotics in the space, so the operator is actually making more money. The ghost kitchen is going to have a better profit, so that you can actually let go. If you consider Kitchen United, when Kitchen United started Kitchen United Mix, which is a channel which investors at the very beginning say, oh, it's never going to happen. Nobody's going to order from your own platform. But they're going to order from Uber Eats and Postmate. Why would they do it? They're not going to do it.
Right.
Well, Kitchen United has proven wrong because Kitchen United Mix is tremendous power. Through COVID, it grew far more. And, I'm sure if you talk to Michael Montagano, he will tell you, or Joy Lake, which is their COO, some of their operators have experienced a 700% growth during COVID.
Wow.
And their worst performers, about 400% growth. So that is tremendous, right? I get goosebumps thinking about all these operators. Remember, I've been an operator my whole entire life. And one of the dreams behind Kitchen United between Jeffrey and I was really how we're going to go out and help out our fellow restaurant owners to really get more money with the delivery system, because we designed and built restaurants for other companies, and up until 6 or 7 years ago, we never designed a restaurant that was optimized for delivery. So that's where the idea came from. Let's build a kitchen where you can optimize delivery. So that's where it was born.
I think especially, and of course now with all operations, that in terms of the restaurant space or even food service. And I think in general, I think we're going to see a lot more, and we've already seen quite a bit of movement in that direction. With Kitchen United, because this is the challenge that you do face with a lot of operators, is that the third-party marketplace, Uber, is essentially created a huge marketing engine. They've collected a lot of guest data. Obviously, they own the guest data. They're charging a large percentage in terms of the transaction fees for the operators. So if that is, kind of moved off the plate, and even their unit economics, I would agree. I'm just not sure that company is a long-term play, unless they figure out a way to get it into a SaaS model and they start offering it as, as a software as a service. But they would have to essentially go pace head-to-head with someone like a Tesla. But with the marketing and the marketplaces, that's where I see especially for virtual and, ghost kitchens, is you have to have some sort of marketplace or at least a landing home for being able to collect those consumers in for those operators. Otherwise, you have these operators having to do really kind of hand-to-hand combat to try to sell their ghost kitchen or their virtual brand. What would be the solution for that in the future, to kind of replace the Uber, the Postmate marketplace?
Well, I think it would be a partnership between companies like Kitchen United and KiwiBot and Nextbite, right? So if you put that whole mix together, then you have a perfect solution there. If you consider Kitchen United Mix has a much stronger power on the very short span around that facility. They can go out and do better marketing than Uber can do. They can outspend them in that 1.5 mile delivery radius, right? And then you have KiwiBot there, and then you have Nextbite that can come in and give you 3, 4, 5 different new menus to put under that one roof.
Yeah, Massimo, how do you feel that we are close enough to get true autonomous delivery? Some of the states have approved fully autonomous vehicles. I think there's 9 or 10 states that have approved it now. It's on the books, legal to do. Do you feel that we're going to have it in 2021 now, or is it still maybe another year or two away?
Again, California will have it. Other places, we will have it. I think that with the change of administration is probably a better chance to move it faster because they're more environmentally, oriented.
Forward.
And so maybe there's going to be some facilitation. But remember, we're still going through COVID. So this is a solution for COVID. I think that if we all put our heads together and we say, what is better for the environment? What is better for delivery? What is better for traffic? What is better for health? It's all going to come together. And the interesting part is that, for an operator, you know how badly we all been hurting. It's been incredible. I could tell you stories, but I probably choke up and stop talking. But we know how hard it is. So as a group of restaurateurs around the country, we're all trying to find solutions. These are some of the solutions. The automation, the robotics, the delivery are coming to aid to the operators, right? And I think we're on the right path.
Yeah. Well, I see it as a potential to where it can actually start to make a difference in business operations, because this is definitely going to save a lot of restaurants and food service operations if we get to full autonomy, because it will interject a new delivery vehicle model or a new delivery system model that is so dramatically needed right now to kind of move the industry forward. Let's talk about trends going out into, say, 2025 for AI integration into the food service space. If you had your crystal ball and knowing what you know of what's happening in the development and where we see autonomy, AI being used in robotic applications inside some of these businesses, where do you think we're going to be in the next 4 years in terms of just your most, Star Trek moment of understanding where AI could be in literally by 2025?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen in 2025. I know what I can tell you that is happening in 2021 and 2022 because I feel it, I breathe it, I talk to people, I know what's going on in the industry right now and how everybody's been rallying up the technology. The greatest mind have put together these programs, and they're about to launch some tremendous initiatives this very coming year. Some of them are friend of yours, you know them, you talk to them, but some of them are coming into this market brand new, but they're really, really great talent. So I can tell you that one thing for sure is going to be that you're going to see more and more robots, right? For sure. You're going to be AI. You see AI all over. I could go on for an hour just telling you all the things that are about to happen. But one thing that I can tell you is that you will see definitely more bots on the street, but you'll see more robots into the facilities, right? So
for sure.
For the big ghost kitchen, when I started, I designed this very convoluted conveyor systems that would take the food from each one of the kitchens, the 15 kitchen, out to the pickup area where the drivers come and pick it up. Well, that's about to change as well. Now we have companies like Kinon Robotics that have an incredible product. They're already on the market. You'll see it already. You see it in China, but they're already here. Kinon has a footprint already in New York, in Los Angeles, in Miami, Orlando, a whole bunch of other cities. They do something really, really, really great. I can say that that's going to be a company you'll see in a lot of facilities, not just in the back of the house, like for a Kitchen United or a club kitchen, but you'll see delivering food to the tables. You've seen bussing the tables. You've seen it used in our industry also for safety reason, because they have one of their robots, which is a sanitizing robot that you can use. You let it run around at night when there is no customers and no employees. You can go around and sanitize all the areas. So that company and other like that, but Kinon Robotics is here. They're here to stay. They're here to take over the market big time. And I'm super excited because they're also fantastic people. I love working with them. So you'll see a lot of that. But you will see a number of computer vision solutions coming into play that are not even attached to a robotic field. For example, one of the things that Miso Robotic has in their arsenal is something that's called Cook Right. And Cook Right is, for the lack of a better word, a navigation system for the cook. So now think about a very expensive steakhouse. I want to say Del Frisco. They have these beautiful steaks that are $100, $130, and they have one very experienced grill man handling maybe 30, 40, 50 steaks at one time. You know that guy is so talented, and yet every single day he makes a mistake and he gets a steak wrong or two steak wrong or maybe more. So what's happening there? You're losing money. There's a lot of waste. It's still a human, judgment that you have to make when it's time to take that steak off or put it back down. And so what's happening, Cook Right is the navigation system. So you have your KDS. You can have an employee that is not the most trained one. He looks at the KDS. He can see all 40 steaks. He knows exactly when to move it, when to turn it, when to leave it, and so on, so that you always have that steak cooked exactly the same way, perfectly to the way that the order came in. So that's a tremendous help for a kitchen, right? Think about the waste and how much it costs to waste 5, 6, 10 steaks a day.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. I think the implementation of just the robotic aspect, but obviously the AI elements and being able to understand the environment of what a restaurant does, because it's one of the most complex operational environments. I mean, it's like a mini manufacturing plant, and it has new problems injected to it almost by the minute. So the ability, which is why it takes so many people to operate in orchestra a restaurant. It's a very difficult and somewhat of a craft. So if AI and robotics can start to really make a dent there, I think this definitely is going to be one of those things that really changes the direction of food service as an industry. There was a company called Noja Robotics who announced their fully autonomous restaurant operation, which is going to have 10 venues inside of it. Do you know anything about this company?
I looked them up. I don't know much about it. I can't find a video that shows what they're doing and how they're doing it. They're probably going to be the first one in the US, possibly. I know other people that are working on projects that are similar, but with a different spin. Much more oriented to what's going on with COVID right now. But if you go to Southeast China, they have fully automated robots that make different kind of food. One thing I can tell you is that there is a robot that's coming into the market very soon, and it's called Bolton Robotics, and it looks like a large vending machine, a little bigger than Piestro, but it's a machine that is able to make 6, 8, 10 different type of virtual menus, and they're all produced out of a machine that has 6,000 cartridges with different ingredients that you pick, and then you have the ability to assemble salads, poke, cooked pasta, soups, all type of menus that you can have, and it all comes out of a machine that you load in the morning, just like we do at Paestro, and then you let it run, and that can do about 300 bowls an hour. So that is here to stay. You will see the first one in Seattle in one of the Cali Group properties. Cali Burger will have Flippy making the burgers and the fried food. And right next to it, you'll have Beyond Cali with the Bolton machine making all the salads and the soup and all that. So we're looking forward to Seattle opening right around April. And the other thing that you'll see in those stores, because they're going to open in Florida, we have Cali Burger in Florida. There's going to be more opening in Florida this year. And those are going to be some really high-tech, beautiful stores with the assistance of some new design and some incredible new technology in vertical farming. So you'll have the Babylon vertical farmings, which are almost like this in a restaurant, you used to have the wine cases that were glass and you could see your Tignanello in it.
Right.
So now they are going to be replaced by this vertical farming where you can actually see the fresh salads and even the berries and herbs that the cooks can actually pick directly in front of your customer, so that you get that understanding that the food is fresh, that there is no CO2 consumed by transporting it, and it's a beautiful piece to see. Honestly, these machines have been put in some retirement homes, and I read some of the studies on the effect that these machines have had on the residents there, because they bring this beautiful green space walls, all illuminated, and actually are a form of entertainment for the old folks, because they can actually watch their salad grow and then consume it. So not just a health thing, but I think it's beautiful. I love nature, you know, and I think that that's a tremendous thing. And you will see the Babylon vertical farms, micro farms inside a lot of the stores.
Yeah, very cool stuff. Massimo, it's always great talking with you. I always learn a lot when I get a chance to drill down and really kind of go into a subject matter deep, like where we are with AI and robotics. Thank you so much for stopping in on the podcast today. It's been great having you.
Thanks, Paul. And we'll see you for pizza, okay?
All right, soon, I hope. All right. You guys are listening in over on the podcast right now. Maybe it's on iTunes or Spotify. Make sure and leave us a link. And also a review. That's how we get feedback from you. And of course, if you are checking this out over on YouTube, make sure and subscribe to the channel. But you can also get notifications if you ring the bell. Just kind of set your notification. More great content just like this. Another show that we have called Tech Path, which really dives into EV, AI a little bit deeper. That's one that you want to catch. And then also a lot of new content over on the Paul Barron Network. Hopefully we'll be able to catch more and more content just like what we've had here today. If you have an idea for Override, hit me up on Twitter, just @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time on Override.